Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Agents of MACE. Today we're continuing our watch through of Echo with Echo, episode 2. Fun stuff. I think this is probably my favorite, first part of one of these episodes. Only because it was just I didn't know what was happening. It looked really cool. It felt really cool. It sounded really cool. If this was, a sport that we still played and was televised on ESPN, I would watch it. So, before we get too far into what's going on, overall, I enjoyed this episode. So, first thoughts.
Yeah, this one has the sports ties. Like, I don't even know where it's really set, but they're like playing a game, right? In this intro. Yeah. This intro was pretty fun. But this was probably the episode for me that I just didn't connect with the most. It kind of took me like the next episode to get back into the groove of things. So I remember this one not being like, I would say in terms of like the 5 episodes, probably like low on my list.
Yeah, this one also, it felt like a little bit of a dip from the first episode. It wasn't bad, but it just didn't
Yeah.
it wasn't as kind of like absorbing, like catch your attention as the first one. And as far as the opening sequence goes, I did pull up the things about it, and it said that it took place in 1200 AD, so a long time ago. And the game that they're playing is Choctaw Stickball, but I thought it looked like lacrosse. So whenever I was watching this with Mason, I was like, look, they're playing lacrosse. That's how much I thought it was lacrosse. Which is on TV now, and you can watch it, but this is different. So yeah, this one, it had interesting moments. I mean, it did have like a train heist, but still, I preferred episode one. And I'm still anxious to see where the series is going. I'm actually watching this as we record, unlike the boys. They've both seen the whole series already. I have not, so I'm truly blind.
Well, this episode we get a lot of comic book nods, um, including a nod to a little bit of what we talked about last week, which was like her family history and what powers she potentially has, which I wanted to talk about really quick because I did a little research and found that Maya's powers are similar to those of Taskmaster. She can duplicate like any physical action that she's seen. Um, that's her power, quote.
Yeah.
But there is a comic line where she is picked to be one of the champions of the Phoenix Force, where she then has to battle other champions to figure out who is going to inherit the next Phoenix Force. So I'm wondering if this is some sort of tie to the like mystical side of what's going on in this series. Like if they pulled a Miss Marvel on us, have they taken some comic book aspects and sort of twisted them to fit in this universe so that maybe she does have some sort of power and it's like a slight mimic of the abilities that she gets with the Phoenix Force? So an
Yeah, I'll
interesting
be
thought.
curious on that. Like to like your point of like her first abilities, like I wish we could have gotten to see a little bit more of that in a different way in episode one. So like we get the scene of her in the boxing ring, and there's like a moment where, she's just kind of like monitoring the guy. But I don't think it was so much of like monitoring like his moves. I think it was just knowing that like he was scared,
Right.
seeing his handshake. Whereas I wish they could have shot this in a way of like maybe he was like the undefeated in that boxing club or whatever, and she was just on the sidelines watching how he fought to
Right.
understand that, and then she would have gone in there and just like taken him out in like 2 seconds.
Right. I feel like this almost has there's a universe where the Echo show is very much like the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movie, where like we
Mhm.
get these scenes of Echo playing out what's going to happen in her head and then doing what she
Right.
played out in her head, but
Right.
at like a faster speed. And I think it would be really cool because it definitely seems like it would fit the vibe of like what her abilities are and
Yeah.
sort of like how the show is shot. So,
It's like the one other thing with Echo that I couldn't really pick up if this was how accurate this was in the comic or if this was leaning more towards the character for the series was just like that she has the ability to like read lips, but I don't
mhm,
really recall if in the comic she was actually like couldn't hear. I thought it was more of just like a tactical ability, like that kind of goes with her monitoring the fights moves because like her weakness is if she's if fighting someone in the dark, right? If she can't see
right,
them, then she can't really see like what, she can't monitor what they're doing specifically, and that kind of halts a weakness. Whereas like um her interactions with like the Avengers, like she can't read lips if you have a mask, right? So
right,
there's a comic where she meets like Iron Man and Captain America, and Captain basically has to like tell her what Iron Man's saying because she can't read the lips.
right. Yeah, I'm not. I have her Marvel page pulled up, and I don't really see anything about her not being able to hear.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like and being introduced to Echo as a character in Hawkeye,
Mm-hmm.
it makes you think like Echo because she can't. It's like related to her not being able to hear,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's like no, it's Echo because she's able to copy your move set.
Right.
Like that's the duplication part of the Echo. So
Mm-hmm.
it is interesting. I think there I think that the Marvel universe now has like taken the time to take these characters from older things and
Mm-hmm.
sort of like rework them into being either more inclusive or more like accessible for people of like any walk of
Mm-hmm.
life to
Right.
look at the character and be like that could be me. And I think that's really cool and I
Oh
really hope
yeah.
that they like continue doing that with these characters
Mhm.
because I
Yeah,
think
for
it
sure.
makes for a more interesting story too. Like
Mm-hmm.
if it was just like here's this girl that can like copy everything she sees. Well, we've already seen that. That's already a character in the Marvel universe. You gave us female Taskmaster.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally what she does. So they had to like rework it to be like this character is different. Here's
Yeah,
why.
yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. So
This says, I pulled up the biography and it said that she is in the comics of Cheyenne, Native American and Latin American descent, and that her teachers, whenever she was in school, noticed that it says that once her teachers notice her ability to duplicate musical performances, they come to realize that she is in fact deaf. So
Mm-hmm.
okay.
it looks like she's deaf in the comics. I don't know if she has uh like in the TV show she's an amputee as well, but I don't know if she's one
Right.
in the comics.
Hmm.
I know that the actress who plays Echo, Alakwa Cox, is an amputee in real life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember. There was I think it was in the first episode when she's fighting Daredevil and he like punches her kick. Like he blocks her kick by punching it and it makes like the metal clang sound.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And my first thought was like, oh, what is that movie? Oh, The Kingsman. You know
Mhm.
how there's the
Yeah.
girl with like the two like sword legs?
Yeah.
Immediately I was like, oh, wouldn't that
Yeah.
be cool if she got a
Yeah.
sword leg? Like that'd be
Right.
cool.
I just rewatched that movie, by the way.
Such a good one. Uh
Yeah.
Well, in this episode, we talked a little bit about the stickball game, but the big takeaway from the stickball game was that the woman who we're kind of like seeing as the main character for the stickball game, eventually we see that she has the same glowing symbol as Chafa, who was
Mhm.
the first Choctaw, um, and it gives her sort of like the power to steal the ball and like win the game. Again, we're seeing this like there is some sort of power, whether it's a mutant ability, a cosmic ability, an eternal ability. We don't know what it is, and they still haven't explained it yet. It's just some sort of power. Um,
That kicks in when she needs it.
right, right. And I think it's yeah, in this episode, she does like learn a little bit more about her family history. And I think it's her
Mhm.
grandmother is the one that tells her like your the ancestors watch over for the family in times of need. So
Mhm.
we do sort of get this like hint at when the power is available. You have to be in like need and the power will be there, and it's the power of the ancestors, but it's still not like a super explanation. Like, is this the equivalent of the Black Panther going and like talking to all the previous Black Panthers? Is it that sort of thing? Like,
Feels like it.
I mean, it'd be cool to see. So far, we've seen like the Black Panther realm. We've seen in Khonshu,
Mhm.
that whole sea of reeds and stuff.
Mhm.
So it'd be cool to see another version of some sort of you know afterlife, or I don't even know that you can call it afterlife. It's sort of like a religion specific realm that you could go to. Um,
Mhm.
so I'd be up to see some more of that stuff. I always think that stuff's really cool to see, and especially in these series where they do it up in such like a fantastical manner that it's like, this is cool. I'm a big mythology fan, so I love when they're able to bring that stuff sort of to life. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, so looking up real quick. So within the Marvel world, there is a what is I want to be careful. Basically Native American gods called the Manidoog. So I'm curious if there's connection there. Um, because it could kind of lean towards, Maya and her family are kind of, you know,
mhm,
part human, part of this,
mhm. I mean, that'd be cool,
which
and
could
and I
explain the abilities.
right, and I definitely like that being tied into what Elisa said about there being sort of like a creation story
Mhm.
aspect to this. Like, you know, if if they really are descendants of like the first Choctaw, what else does that mean? Like, if because Maya has a sister, right?
Mhm.
So like,
Mhm.
does her
Or,
sister also have
Bonnie,
these?
correct?
mhm.
Mhm.
And isn't Bonnie actually her cousin, but is basically her sister? Isn't that
Is that
what
what
they
it
were saying in
was?
the first episode? Because
I
Bonnie
think
Yeah.
keeps
sounds right,
insisting,
yeah.
like, we're cousins. And then Ma's like, no, we're
Yeah,
sisters.
that's right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right. Well, then, so if she, well, I guess if they're cousins, they're still related. So
Mhm.
does Bonnie have the ability to do this too, or is it only like this main line of family?
Does Biscuits have the powers?
Yeah.
Biscuits is their cousin, too.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what comes of this power, and what can it actually do, and how can Maya learn to either control it or use it, or at this point in the story, we see Maya kind of go back to her heisty criminal side. Granted, I think, the reason that she's doing it is on the up and up. Um, I'm wondering if we're going to see Maya become a hero, or if we're going to see Maya strive to like take over Kingpin's operation.
And that's very like Ten Rings-esque, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like she's already associated with that world, so she feels like she has that villainous leadership ability to take it over.
Right. Right.
Go for it.
And she
So
does say it's time for a queen.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, yeah, is she gonna take over and be as ruthless as Kingpin, or is she going to take over and try to like turn to a lighter side of crime, if that's a thing? I'd be interested to see. But in this episode, we get basically like a train heist, and
Mhm.
this is one of the first Easter egg things that I've seen for this series. I'm sure there were ones in the first episode that I missed, and probably more in the second episode, but I know there was one where the container that is on the like shipping container that she's breaking into is labeled D9X, which is referencing Daredevil numbers 9 and 10, which are the first appearance of Maya in the comics. So that's kind of cool. And then before we get too far away from Easter egg things, they also mention Madripoor again,
Mhm.
which, we don't go there, but there's like a funny line about don't buy those rugs. They're all made in Madripoor. And it's just like, oh yeah, Madripoor's a thing. So,
That should be our T-shirt.
what, don't buy those rugs. They're made in Madripoor, or Madripoor's a thing.
No,
Made
they
in
don't buy those
Madripoor.
rugs. Made in Madripoor. Agents of Mace, made in Madripoor.
I mean, that is where we are all located. So,
Right.
um,
But seriously, when are we going to go back there? Like, why keep
yeah,
referencing it if we're not going to go back there?
What is
it
Sharon
seems,
up to out there?
We got to
yeah,
know.
it seems like the last 3 or 4 things there has been at least one reference to Madripoor thrown in there. And it's like, yeah, we know it's there. Let's go back. There's things going on there. So, yeah, maybe that's season 2. Echo takes over Madripoor. Um, I think that the like idea of her taking over Kingpin's role is interesting because the show is doing so much to make you root for her
Mhm.
that it would almost be like not in a good way, be like oh, really? She's gonna be bad? When it's sort of like, nah, this is cool to see her be this like sort of vigilante taking on Kingpin, could potentially partner up with Daredevil or Elektra or any number of Hell's Kitchen based
Mhm.
Marvel heroes. Um, I mean, do you think we'll see anyone else? I know, Luke, Elisa, do you think we'll see anyone else in this series pop up, like a cameo from anyone?
Um, it would be nice to see Daredevil again. It would be funny to see She-Hulk. We could maybe we could get another like y'all said, Hell's Kitchen personality, like maybe Jessica Jones or Luke Cage. They could pop up. Um, it would be really fun to see the Contessa. She comes and tries to recruit Echo.
You know, I feel like every day I'm seeing more and more news reports about something, somebody leaving or somebody joining or somebody
Mhm.
walking away from the set of the Thunderbolts. I don't know what's
Oh,
going on.
yeah. That's a whole nother episode. So, yeah.
Apparently,
water.
they haven't started filming. I thought that they had. I figured that they were well into filming, and they
No.
haven't, and that's why they lost one of their actors. I think Stephen Ewan was supposed to be in it, which
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
always great, but he's like, wait, I can't just wait for us to start forever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that.
She could be one of the young Avengers, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be I think it would just be cool because right now we have like a full roster of young female Avengers,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop, Echo, Yelena, Riri,
Cassie,
Cassie.
In America.
Yep, America Chavez.
and then maybe Billy and Tommy. We're still not sure if they're real.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is I just last night I finished Wolverine and the X-Men, that whole series, which was a lot of fun. And I just started like chronologically reading the House of M storyline, which is kind of like loosely where they got the, Wanda creates her kids and they all
Mhm.
have to pull her out of that and then she loses it and like takes over the world and makes everyone see like a different reality. It's very, very different than WandaVision, but it's based on that like storyline. And that was my first thought when she said, "My children, Billy and Tommy," and I was like, "Oh yeah, are Billy and Tommy around?
Mhm.
Are they still a thing? I'm not really sure."
I do know they're supposed to be in the Agatha series. They've
Mm,
showed
Mm.
like set photos that have got the boys in them, but that doesn't mean that they're here in this reality. They could very easily be in a different one, but not here.
mhm. Yeah, and talk about something I'm excited for, man. Let's go.
Mhm.
Um,
Hopefully, it won't go through a name change again. It's gone through like
yeah,
a name change about 3 times now.
fingers crossed. Um, yeah. So back to Maya. So I'm interested to see where this is going. I'm interested to see, how Maya is going to lean. Is she going to be a hero? Is she going to be a villain? Is she going to be like an anti-hero maybe? Like a Deadpool or Deadpool's like in his own realm, I
Mhm.
guess. But that sort of like sometimes you're a hero, sometimes you're a villain, more so you're just doing stuff for yourself. Like I'd be okay with that, I guess. But I do think the show is like really building up this like family and ancestor aspect and her being good. So I'm invested in that. I'm invested in Maya being the hero that maybe she doesn't want to be, but she needs to be.
Mhm. Classic line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Great power comes great echoes.
It's just like some of the stuff she goes through in this episode with, trying to rob the train, getting her leg caught, and then having the flashback moments. She's starting to question a lot of things. And it's just like the family moments are so awkwardly interesting because it's almost like they don't want to see each other, but she needs them. She's kind of in this position where like I'm around my family, I'm in these positions where I need them for things, but it's like I don't want to ask them for things, and
Right.
she's kind of questioning everything.
Right. Well, and but it's interesting because part of her, I was like looking a little more into, what people are talking about with her powers and like what they could be. And there's potentially some sort of like, not only do you get the power of the ancestors, but you retain their skills and memories. So
Mhm.
the stickball game, you know, could have been more like a memory that she
Mhm.
had, as opposed to we're just watching like something that happened in the past to her ancestor. It's like, no, that's a memory that she's had, that Echo currently has, whether she knows it or not. So that would be an interesting way. But again, I think it goes back to like, and again, not in a bad way. I'm not against this. I'm actually for it. I think it's cool now. But them taking characters and kind of twisting their powers to fit this universe in a way that's
Okay.
like, okay.
But that's the key, because I'll go back into my gripe. It has to fit the universe. If like, if let's just say Maya does have these, mutant celestial whatever, like what does that contain? Like, is it okay, she shot Kingpin, that didn't kill him, but are these powers strong enough to where it could like wipe him out? Like,
Right.
there's got to be some limits there.
Well, and like we don't know, apart from her being able to like gain a little boost in her strength. Yeah, could she like shoot laser beams out of her arms or something? Like
Yeah.
what are the extents of her power? Can she fly? Can she?
I mean, okay, like let's go back into the comic realm, like that we mentioned before. Like, she fights Namor and can hold up against Namor. Like, look at Namor and his capabilities versus Kingpin. Like,
Right.
big differences there.
Right. Yeah, but when she fights Namor, she's fighting Namor like backed by
the Phoenix
the
Force, which is
Phoenix.
true. Yeah.
So it's like, is that, but again, like, is this the MCU's version of Maya having the Phoenix Force? They've given
Right.
her this like weird celestial ancestor energy. But again, it's like, yeah, what does it entail? I almost feel like it does. It feels like it's so much more connected to the powers that Kahori has, where it's like it gives her like increased physical ability, increased speed, increased strength.
Right.
And then like maybe there's the potential for like some telepathy or some sort of like external power, but
it's like, what do they want to truly tie this in with? Like, if it's this celestial stuff from like the Eternals, is she only connected to with her ancestors, or is there going to be something that's going to link to like the Eternals?
true. And maybe I need to like watch that movie again. I like hardly remember anything in that movie. I mean, maybe there's I feel like they did so much with the Eternals to like solidify it in the MCU, and then it feels like they abandoned it, and we're just like, nah, yeah, forget it. Like, I think we even talked about that a couple weeks ago. Like, why have they never brought back up that there's just a giant celestial sticking out of the ocean? Like, and no one's talking about it. So I don't know. Maybe this is the tie back into.
It just feels like that's a key item of like someone's gonna go research that and then turn into like this villain, and
Exactly.
here's like all these other movies or series I could do.
Well, and even I think every time I think about that, I immediately think of like Nowhere, right? Nowhere is a giant celestial head that they are inside and they are mining parts of it to sell and to turn into stuff.
Yeah.
How has nobody gone into the one that's sitting in the ocean and started mining inside of it to see what they could get? Seems like an oversight.
Maybe that's what Sharon's up to.
Yeah, we're gonna find her and she's gonna have like a celestial mech suit. So, all right. Well, did we miss anything? Do you guys have anything else for episode 2? I think it's a solid follow-up to episode 1. I think that like the one thing that this show has done very well is like stay consistent, at least in my mind. Each episode is like consistently well done in a way that the episode ends and you're like, I'm excited for the next episode. And then the next episode happens and you're like, cool, that like perfectly tied in with the last episode without me thinking like, man, I wish they would, I don't know what's going on. Why didn't they explain that? Or how come they never talked about this again? So I'm really enjoying the series. I hope you all listening are enjoying the series too. If you haven't started watching the series, what are you doing? We're talking about episode 2. Go listen to episode 1 after you watch the whole series. It's available on Disney Plus right now, as well as Hawkeye, which perfect combo watch. Just breeze through Hawkeye right into Echo.
And maybe revisit Eternals. Why not?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. See what's going on with that Eternal out in the ocean. Who knows? And get ready for Blade. Whenever that's
Fingers crossed.
a real quick aside on Blade. I don't know. I think we talked about a little bit the Blade game that they've announced, and they have like a little mini teaser for. My initial thought was, I really hope that like this isn't what they've been building up to. Like they're like, we're gonna introduce Blade, and then they're like, yeah, by giving him a game, and it's like, oh, cool, but like, where's the show? Where's the movie?
The game is canon, and so you have to play it.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
They
They're
would
gonna
do that. They would do that.
they would. They're gonna reference only in-game things, but in the movies, and you're gonna be like, I don't know what this is. Hopefully, you have an Alamo near you can go watch the previously on. All right. Well, our question last week was, which version of Kingpin would you like more of? So we'll do our answers. My favorite Kingpin is definitely the Kingpin that we get in. I won't even say in Echo. I'm specifically the Kingpin that we got in Hawkeye. He was like comic accurate, big, strong. He rips a car door off of a car as if it's nothing. And then he gets shot with arrows like 2 or 3 times and just pulls them out and does not affect him at all. And all I could think the whole time was like, yes, this is comic book Kingpin. This is what I want. I don't want Kingpin that is just a guy. I want like big, bulky, strong, scary Kingpin.
There you go. So I gotta go same actor, but I like the Netflix Daredevil Kingpin. Because I think he's still like a powerhouse in there, but I think he's more of an established like persona. Like everyone knows what he's this. Like everyone like, and it's just the way he's able to move about that city and hide in the shadow. Like he always stays hidden, but it's just like, I don't know. I just like the setup they did for that version of Kingpin, and he's still like pretty strong and powerful.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Elisa?
I like the one from Spider-Verse because like the way that he is big is a way that you can only be in a cartoon. But it totally works within the context of that movie. And it also does make him at least a little bit sympathetic because he's doing all this to try to get his family back. So it's kind of a complex and nuanced Kingpin. But also he's just so very huge, especially compared to the regular scaled people around him. He's basically like a square with a head a few inches below the top of the square. That is Kingpin in this movie. So that's my favorite one.
Yeah, his proportions are wild in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he just like he smashes Spider-Man to death with his fists.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's
oh my
got
goodness.
tiny little legs. And you're like, how do those hold that up? I don't know. Well, those are good picks. So hopefully you let us know on social media what your favorite one was, and I hope you're ready for this week's question, which will be a little more I don't know, open-ended, I guess. But my real question is, what do you think Echo's powers are? Do you think they're celestial? Do you think they're mutant? Do you think they're just ancestor powers, like some sort of like, you know, again, like a Black Panther-esque, you know, afterlife realm powers? Or do you think this is some sort of weird Kahori made from the Reality Stone or whatever? I don't remember what stone it was. I can never remember the blue one.
It's the Tesseract, the space stone.
Space. Thank you. I think you've corrected me every single time that I've said any other stone, so I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, space stone. One of these days. I need to like just a chart in my office that just has all the stones and what they are. But yeah, is it that some weird broken in half space stone power that we don't know about? So let us know what you think. We'll let you know what we think. And join us next time for episode 3 of the Marvel Disney Plus series Echo. See you guys next time.
Bye.